Between 1941 and 1945, the Nazis murdered over 6 million Jews across Europe in one of the biggest genocides the world has seen. Now, every year, people from around the world remember those who were lost.
I was 14 when the camps were discovered, and the world said, never again. United Nations was formed, Human Rights Declaration was written, and it hasn't stopped. It goes on every day. And we must make as many people as possible aware what happens when bigotry and racial hatred takes over, particularly at a time when ideologies of hate are growing throughout the world.
On Sunday evening, members of the Jewish community met with members of the public to remember and recount stories of those who have survived the Holocaust.
Unless we've lived experiences, it's very hard to imagine exactly what it would be like to be torn from home. And as we hear the testimony of people, whether it's stories now, few survivors are around of the Holocaust, but those people who have had family members who were affected by the Holocaust, it's so important to hear those stories, as we have in York across this week, and they have been heartbreaking, as we've heard of the horrors of the Second World War, but also to hear from people who are experiencing that today, to be able to tell their testimony of what is happening and to create those platforms so we can all listen.
But why is it important for the younger generations to learn from the past?
It's really important for young people today to understand their history, because many people who are resident now, or second or third generation in the UK, their parents or they themselves even went through the Holocaust.
Education is the short answer. It's the most difficult question. How indeed do you change mindsets that generates hate?
History very much forms our future, and therefore we've got to understand that past as well. And it was a very dark past in Europe that led that Second World War, and we've got to ensure that we learn those lessons so we never ever repeat the crimes and the human rights abuses.
The Memorial Day is not just to remember the lives that were lost in the Holocaust, but also to commemorate those suffering today.
This evening we've heard testimony from 2 Rohingya refugees who fled persecution and genocide in Burma.
With the community coming together from around the city, over 6 million lives were lost, but they were certainly not forgotten. York Atkinson, That's TV.